I'm about to reveal my 6-step program builder that demands high ticket sales so you can learn how to charge what you're worth for your coaching company. Whatever industry that you're in, if you have an online coaching business, this video applies to you. Now, for those of you that don't know who I am, my name is Josh Dexter and I'm the owner of Momentum Coaching, which is a one-to-one hands-on bespoke business coaching company for coaches. And we help coaches start, grow, scale, and thrive to £1 million per year with their coaching company. And with over 1,400 submitted success stories so far, we have the exact 6-step process to help you start charging what you're worth. Now, let me share my screen and I'm going to walk through the entire process for you. Before we get into the 6-step strategy, we've got to understand a couple of things first and foremost. There's different ways to actually deliver an education-based business, multiple different ways. And typically what most people do is they have a rolling service. And what we want to do is we want to compare a rolling service to a phase-based program, which is what we're going to go through today, which is what is part of this 6-step process. Now, a rolling service, using fitness coaching as an example here. Now, this applies to any industry that you're in, as long as you've got a coaching business, whether you're in mindset, whether you're in fitness, whether you're in sales, whether you're in marketing, whether you're in skincare. We've got some skincare coaches at Momentum as well. So whatever industry that you're in, this applies to you exactly the same. So what most people do, if we use fitness coaching as an example here, they have a rolling service. So this is where they'll design training plans and nutrition plans. Maybe they've got an app. They'll support their clients. They'll check in with them maybe on a weekly basis, bi-weekly basis. And the show goes on and on and on and on. And that client feels like they're almost on a bit of a hamster wheel, because they're not necessarily going anywhere. There's no trajectory to go anywhere, but the service and the way it's being delivered is an ongoing, it's a rolling service. And typically most fitness coaches in this particular case, they're charging then a monthly recurring fee for their service. Okay, so instead of charging high ticket, they can only demand a recurring fee, because that's the way this service is actually set up. That's the way that their program is actually set up, is on an ongoing rolling basis. Okay, very, very easy for clients to dip off as well. So another negative to this, very easy for clients to leave the actual service. Clients don't necessarily know where they're going. They don't necessarily what the future looks like in your service as well. It's a recipe for disaster in regards to getting clients into your program and then very, very quickly losing them off the back end of your company as well. So churn rate naturally is a lot higher when you have a rolling service. Yes, it may be easier to get people through the front door, but you're losing them as fast as you're actually getting them through. And this might be you right now. Whereas if we compare this to phase-based programming, this is where we combat all of the above that I've just mentioned. We actually create a start point and an end point. We create a timeline for that client coming through. There's a customer journey. There's a step-by-step pathway to success. And you're future-proofing what that experience and what that journey will actually look like for that client who's actually coming on board. There is a roadmap to take them from point A to point B, and it's as clear as you can possibly make it. And this is what we want to create. A phase-based program will demand higher ticket price points for your coaching program rather than the rolling service. So hopefully that makes sense first and foremost. So coming into our 6 steps, so starting at step 1 first and foremost. What we want to do is we want to identify what our target market's starting point actually is. And this is by understanding who you're actually going after, who are you actually serving with your coaching program, who is that person. There's an example here. So let's say they're males, 25 to 35 with your fitness coaching company. They're in that position right now where they're skinny fat. They don't have a lot of muscle, but they're still holding quite a lot of body fat. They might be eating out quite a lot, so they like to be social. They might have a missus and a kid or two, so they've got a family at home. They're working their 9-to-5 job. The gym to them is a chore and they absolutely hate going. After a busy day at work and then they've got the family at home, the gym to them is just an absolute chore. And you can go into depth with this and really understand who that person is that you're trying to go after with your program, and what is their specific current starting position before they even embark on this journey. So we need to fully understand who that person is, what position they're in, what their problems are, what their barriers are, and where they're currently at to start with. Okay, so step one, go into a tremendous amount of detail with your business and your industry right now on exactly what that start point actually is. Now, as soon as you've done that, we can then move on to step two. So this is the desired outcome. So we've got the start point for that particular person. Now, where do they want to go? So this person could really, really want six-pack abs. Because they're skinny fat, they want to put on muscle. By changing their physique, they want to raise their level of confidence. They want to have a lot more energy so they can actually run around with the kids, run around with the family. And instead of coming home like tired and knackered and miserable and the gym's a chore, instead they want to have this huge uplift of energy. By doing so, they need to then be a lot more productive. By doing so, they're then going to be a lot more present with their family. And again, we can go in a lot more depth here, but we need to fully understand what that desired outcome actually is, what the end goal for that person is, what do they want to achieve and why. Why do they actually want to get to that end goal? Really important that we're asking ourselves that question, why? Because that will help you with the sales process when it comes to actually closing people on the program. But we've got a point A now, we've got a point B. We know their current starting position and we know exactly where they want to go. Okay, so we're starting to build out this program. So step three, as soon as you've done that, we can now start to bridge the gap. So what are some of the things that you would like to get across? What type of value, education, knowledge, and areas of expertise do you want to relay to that person that will take them from point A to point B? It will bridge that gap completely. So first and foremost, we could have, okay, I want to go through habits and routine, like how to actually build better habits, how to build a better routine. Okay, that's one of those things. Next up, nutrition foundations. They're eating out a lot, so I want to educate them on nutrition. I want to teach them about calories, about macronutrients, how to actually track, how to have a better understanding of nutrition. Okay. Next up, training education. They might not be enjoying the gym because they don't have a lot of knowledge around it. Maybe they're not seeing results from their past efforts. That's why it's a chore. Okay, so how do I get them to enjoy their training? How do I get them to execute their exercises with perfect form, with perfect intensity, to really start getting the most out of the gym and start to get that enjoyment back for the gym again? How do I help them with their time management? So you've probably got this type of person who says, I'm really busy all the time, I don't have enough hours in the day. Okay, how do we get better with your time management? Working the 9 to 5, juggling the family, hitting the gym, achieving your goals. How do we juggle all of those things to get the best possible version of that person? Next up, we then want to lean into a bit more advanced nutrition. Okay, how do we actually then start to put on muscle, let's say? Or how do we start to understand micronutrients, whole foods? How do we understand nutrition in a lot more depth from the basics? Okay, I really want to go into that with that particular client. Next up, we've got cardiovascular health. So how do we actually want to create a fitter version of that person? Let's say they're running around with the kids in the garden, they're playing football, they're playing rugby, playing tennis, they're swimming with the kids. How do we incorporate as a role model for this person, being that role model in their family that is actually looking after their health? Okay, so how do we incorporate that? And then reverse dieting. So once we've actually stripped the fat off because this person is skinny fat, how do we then look to then start to put on muscle afterwards? Okay, and we can start that process. So these are just some examples again that bridges the gap between starting point and where that person actually wants to go. Okay, some of the things. As soon as we've done that and we've written that list, we can now put them in priority order. So we can now go through these 7 things that we've got here. It could be more for you, it could be less for you. It's completely up to you, your industry, who you're targeting, what you're looking to achieve with that person, where they're looking to go. Very, very dependent, but this is the framework that I want you to follow. There's not a specific amount of numbers in regards to teaching points that you can actually get across. It's completely dependent on you. But we can now put them in priority order. Okay, so for this particular person, the first thing that I want them to take action with that's really going to benefit them and get the most out of that person the moment they join the program, okay, that will then be habits and routine, because we need to sort that out first before we can do anything else. Second to that, it would then be time management, because if they can't manage their time, they're not going to implement anything else. Okay, that's the second priority. Next would then be nutrition. Next would then be their training. Next would then be advanced nutrition. Next would then be cardiovascular health. And then next would be the reverse dieting. Okay, so we've now put them in priority order from start to finish in regards to what we would want to offload and teach and coach and mentor that particular client at the very, very start of the program. And then as they're going through it, what do we then want to offload to them next? Okay, we're gradually building out our phase-based program here. So step 5, we can now very clearly see our program. Okay, so we can call it a very unique name, which is always very important. This is your unique methodology, your unique program that takes that very specific person in their very specific starting position all the way to their result. And I've put stage 1 here because this particular person then wants to put on muscle afterwards. And that's where you can build out a secondary program after they've actually completed this one, where it's maybe a muscle gaining program off the back of it. Okay, so this takes that starting point, that starting position for that client all the way to the end, and we have phase 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 steps, 7 phases from start to finish that will take that person from point A to point B, and we have our program. And as I mentioned, we then want to give this a unique name. This is your unique method. Okay, that's your program. You've actually built this out. Now, how do we actually deliver this? The 6th and final point, how do we deliver this to that client to demand high ticket pricing? Now, stage 6, the final stage, we have 3 different ways to deliver education to our clients. We can teach our clients, we can coach our clients, and we can mentor our clients. Most people on that rolling service that I mentioned at the start, they're just coaching that client. So they're just doing 1 out of the 3. Now, for you to demand the highest price point possible for your industry and for your target market, implement all 3. And all 3 can be done. There's a difference between all 3. So teaching typically is you relaying that education and that knowledge to a large group of people, and you're just relaying that information. So right now I am teaching because I'm not recording this video for anyone specifically. I'm relaying that knowledge and getting that education out there. And if you're watching this and taking a lot of value from this, then that's amazing. That's the whole purpose of this. But that's what you would call teaching. You would class as teaching. Coaching is you working one-to-one with that individual person to get the best out of them, to get the best result possible out of that one individual. So everything is then a lot more bespoke. And then mentoring is you passing down knowledge from your experience, your wins, your failures, the experience, then the time that you've put into your own personal journey and or the clients that you've worked with previously up until this point. You're passing down experienced knowledge when you're mentoring. So with your program, do all 3. So as an example here, the teaching aspect, we can have pre-recorded, unlockable educational videos that you can then give to the clients across all of those phases. We've got 7 phases. You could record, as an example, maybe 4 or 5 videos per phase that really helps them out with that particular phase that they're in. So habit building and routine building being the first phase here. Okay, what educational videos can I record that will really, really help them build better habits and better routines? What step-by-step frameworks can I offload, and what education can I give to that person as they're going through phase 1? The same for phase 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. Okay, what can I pre-record as a framework to keep them on the ball and adherent to these phases as they're going through? Okay, what important teaching points do I really want to get across here? Next up, we have the coaching aspect. And this is where you have your scheduled weekly check-ins that you'll be doing at the moment. You have accountability and support, and then they'll have their bespoke program. So that's typically what most people are doing on a rolling service right now. They would still have that because they need that bespoke one-to-one hands-on aspect to get the best result possible. but they're within a framework, they're within a program. They have everything future-proofed. Okay? And then the mentoring aspect, we could have a one-to-one video call at the start of every single phase to pass down experience, knowledge, and wisdom on that particular phase, on that particular topic. So not only are you coaching them in regards to everything being bespoke, training plan, nutrition plan, check-in, support, etc., you're now giving them a framework to follow. You're giving them a program. You have structure. You have formality to the program that they're actually on. You have very important teaching points that you actually want to get across. So the teaching point is there. The coaching point is already there, which we've already mentioned, which gets a great result out of the client. And then the mentoring aspect is there to hold them accountable, have a lot more of a personal touch with you as the coach, who is actually delivering the coaching program. Okay, and you can also pass down real life experience that is helped and will help that particular person go through that phase in the best possible way. So implement all three. Okay, so they're the 6 steps that will help you build a high ticket program rather than a low ticket monthly recurring service for your coaching service, whatever industry you're in. 6 steps, 1 to 6. Follow that framework, and it will really, really help you out. Now, if you need any help building your coaching company, building your service, growing the business as a whole, scaling it to £1 million per year plus, which is what we do day in, day out at Momentum Coaching, I've got 2 options for you. You can either click the link in the description so we can find out a little bit more about yourself and how we could potentially help you. Or option 2, if you drop me a message on my Instagram, so it's at @JoshDexter_, and just send me a message with the word momentum. What I can do is I can run through your business in a lot more depth, your specific business, and I can give you the help and hand that you need.